All right, welcome back to one of our card videos where we're just going to talk a bit about two cards that are kind of older and if they still serve a purpose, if we're still using them, and just kind of talking a bit about them. Now, really important thing is this is not a one-way conversation. I want you to let me know your opinions on these cards as well. Make sure to write it down in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure the like button, hit subscribe, all that fun stuff. Really appreciate it. But today we're talking about Hawkeye, the leadership ally, which came in the core box. And then we're also going to be talking about Med Team, right? The protection support that also came in the core box. So let's go take a look at those cards. All right, so the first one is Hawkeye. He's a 3-1-1-3 stat line, and he comes in with 4 arrow counters on him. After a minion enters play, remove 1 arrow counter, deal 2 damage to the minion. This card was the Ultron Slayer, right? So Ultron, for those who don't know it, an easy way to beat Ultrons because Ultron Standard would say, after Ultron attacks you, choose to either place 1 threat in the main scheme or put the top card face down as a drone minion. With stage 2, kind of the same exact thing. He would respond to that minion entering play, right? Your face down card, and would just shoot it down, right? So it was a great way to keep Ultron in check. It's like kind of a shortcut cheat that we don't really talk about anymore because for whatever reason. But anyway, it's a great way to keep Ultron kind of, like I said, in check. And it was a really strong way of using Hawkeye. Now, moving forward, it feels like we don't really talk about Hawkeye that much anymore, unfortunately. I still think he has a place, right? I still like the 2 damage, and it can be really useful too if there are minions that are coming in with either Retaliate or Tough, right? Retaliate especially because, again, we're not attacking that minion, we're dealing damage. So we would not get hit with a Retaliate. So it's an easy way with a minion that has, like, let's say 5 life to get 2 damage on them without getting Retaliate, and swinging for 3 is a little bit easier, or can be a bit easier. Same with someone that comes in with Tough, because a lot of times Tough, if we don't have piercing, kind of disrupts our whole flow and messes everything up. Well, even though it's not efficient because we're not dealing 2 damage to the minion, we are taking off Tough, which would hopefully let us have a much smoother progression hand and be able to do a lot more damage, right? So he's one of those allies where I like him out on the table for those ammo counters, and then they just kind of go away after that, unfortunately. The 1-1-3 stat line isn't anything great. I do use him to thwart now and again or attack. I know people have done Avenger builds and he makes a little more sense and he does some more damage and whatever else, but I feel like the main thing with him is the arrow counters on him to basically be able to do 8 damage kind of spread out. I still like Hawkeye to this day, and like I said, for minions that are more Retaliate heavy, I think he makes a lot of sense. I think he's I think he works really well in that situation. He's an ally that, again, when we played Ultron, to me, he's like the cheat codes for Ultron. Like, it's not worth really doing anymore because it's a little too strong, I think. A little too powerful, and makes the game a little too easy. But if you were having a tough time with Ultron, he's a great ally to put in to kind of make him easier. So Hawkeye is one, again, I used him a lot in the beginning, kind of dropped off in the middle there, and I feel like he comes in now and again, but as more villains are coming in with either Tough, and not really Tough as much because a lot of, there's usually piercing options, but let's say I don't have that, and also that, but more so with Retaliate, it's really nice to get rid of that. And there are still minions that are coming out nowadays that are only have like two life, right? Like, they're not super strong. So Hawkeye can still just kind of one-shot them, which is really nice, and then I don't have to deal with them. So that's really cool. Another card I want to talk about is Med Team, which is a really interesting card that I feel like a lot of people read wrong. And what I mean by this is a 3-cost support comes into 3 med counters. When they're all gone, you get rid of the card. When the med counters are gone, you get rid of the card. Action: exhaust Med Team, remove 1 medical counter, heal 2 damage from a friendly character. I think a lot of people the first time around read this as friendly character meant your hero. And that's not what it says. It's just a friendly character, right? So this can be your allies too. And once you start having kind of builds where you want your allies to stick around longer because you're building them out or whatever else, it became a more viable, not a viable card. I mean, it was always a decent card, but it became a more fun card, a more exciting card to just be able to do more things with it. So I feel like a lot of people in the beginning kind of read that wrong because we didn't really know what a friendly character was, unfortunately. And I've seen it kind of make a resurgence and a comeback. Also, it's a shield card, which a lot of people don't talk about. And ever since, what was it, Sinister Motives in the Miles deck, right? There was a lot of shield cards that came out, and a lot of different builds with shield cards with Homeland Intervention, or well, these are all Justice Shield cards. Here they are, basic cards. Aaron or Agent 13, I think we already had, but Doom Doom Dugan, Government Liaison, right? Reduce a player shield card from your hand, reducing its resource cost. Sky Destroyer, when you play a shield card, exhaust Sky Destroyer, deal 2 damage to an enemy, right? Like there were different shield type things that came out, and I think no, just like Helicarrier and stuff. But anyway, there were more shield cards that kind of came out. Again, I know Justice Shield is like the main shield, but you can still mess around with it a little bit, especially with Government Liaison and Sky Destroyer, make it a little more interesting to put in a protection deck that's going to be focusing with med team and healing up and whatever. And protection sometimes has a rough time with dealing damage, right? So Sky Destroyer makes it easier. Government Liaison making it cheaper to put in med teams, especially if you're recycling to heal your allies or yourself, whatever it may be. Again, it's not the most efficient way to use shield. It's still justice and all that fun stuff. But I think it's kind of just worth noting that it's a shield card and that doesn't get talked about as much. So anyway, Med Team is still a card I use a lot. I'm still a bigger fan of Night Nurse, mainly because it gets rid of a status counter. But Med Team is pretty good, not gonna lie. I feel like it still has a place, just like Hawkeye still has a place. I'm not as big of a protection player as others, so you all will have to let me know if in your protection deck you're still using Med Team a decent amount or not as much or whatever it may be, because I'm kind of interested in hearing about that. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this quick discussion. Once again, this is just to start the conversation, and that's it. If you want to talk more about these cards, make sure to go to twitch.tv/D20 Woodworking to see the live streams where we live stream Marvel Champions and other card games, either solo or PvP or whatever else. Sometimes we do video games. It's a lot of fun, especially just hanging out with a great community. One thing I also want to point is either in the description of this video, you can see all my links, or in the first comment, there's a link to like all the links and whatnot. But join the Discord. It's my personal Discord. Join it and let me know what cards you want us to talk about. Again, this is just to start conversations. This isn't to just like give an in-depth analysis or anything fun like this, but I've been reading through a lot of your comments. People seem to really enjoy this and just kind of talking a bit about it. And it's like fun to go back, I think, and look at some of the older cards and like, does this still make sense? Is this still viable or whatever else? So anyway, I appreciate everyone that's been commenting and all that fun stuff. Like I said, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy these videos and I will be seeing you again soon. Take care, everyone.